Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a B-movie review and I'll be having a look at the movie Nemesis, starring Oliver Gruner. So this is really on the back of the sort of Terminator movies. We had a kind of rash of these sort of 90s cyborg type films. And this one takes place in a kind of cyberpunk future. I think it's meant to be the year 2027. And Alex, played by Oliver Gruner, who used to be in the French Foreign Legion, by the way, apparently. He plays it in the beginning of the film, at least, a kind of cop or future cop who basically is trying to track down some kind of like terrorists that are kind of smuggling some kind of technology from one place to another. And then throughout the film, basically, his kind of priorities change as the sort of plot unravels, and we find out eventually that there's a kind of almost like a cyborg conspiracy where the machines are sort of planning to sort of take over the Earth. Random tangent. I'm going to say, Stallone. Why haven't we seen Oliver Gruner in The Expendables yet? Come on, he's a 90s action star, he needs to be in there. Anyway, back to the film. Now, Oliver Gruner had a lot of these kind of like sci-fi action films that sort of came out in the 90s. And like I say, this one is probably one of the better ones. It isn't my favourite. My favourite Oliver Gruner film is actually Automatic. But this one is a very, very good film. And there's some really decent action sequences here for this kind of relatively low budget that it actually had. Oliver Gruner is actually quite a good action star. As I say, he used to be in the military himself, so you know, he's no sort of stranger to sort of doing very physical things. He may not be the greatest actor, I have to say. He maybe isn't a particularly charismatic leading man, but you know, he's fantastic at doing all the action scenes. And for the budget, there's some really decent set pieces here. The one major issue with this film is that the actual plot is quite incoherent and is a little bit confusing, to be quite honest with you. It really is. You have all these sort of characters that are introduced, including a very young Thomas Jane in a kind of role which doesn't have to be there. And this is the problem. There's lots of these sort of like characters that simply just don't have to be there, and they're just there to sort of muddy the waters, really. And this is the real issue with this film. So you know, for its kind of B-movie budgets and the actual what we see on the screen and what actually happens, it looks fantastic. There's some great stunts, you know, decent choreography. And very good set pieces, I have to say. There's exploding buildings and whatnot, and lots of chases and gunfights. It's a little bit cheesy in places, I suppose, because this is one of these times where it's really cool to wear sunglasses in the night and things like that. But nevertheless, you know, it's an entertaining film if you can kind of not really sort of pay too much attention to what's actually supposed to be going on with the actual script, maybe, and the way it's shot isn't particularly fantastic. But overall, it's a decent action flick. It's a decent sci-fi flick. And I think Oliver Gruner is one of his better films, at least. It was actually followed by a kind of series of sequels that were kind of set in the same world, but really didn't have anything to do with this particular film. They were kind of set some sort of time in the future, and they could have travelled back in the past and stuff like that. More like Terminator, to be honest with you. And that actually starred this kind of buff female weightlifter who was kind of took on the role of a different Alex, I'm guessing. But they're really not as good as this first film. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? Let me know what you thought and leave me a comment. Bye for now.